Hello everyone and welcome to today's demonstration. Today I will be showing you how to paint this lovely soft coloured lily pond. You can see here I'm starting out with a simple pre-drawn outline of some lily pads and the lily flowers, which I've put some masking fluid over. I use Pebeo masking fluid for this, but you can use any brand as long as it works. And you can see now that I've masked out the important parts, the pads and the flowers, I'm just going over my paper with an extra large hake brush and just wetting it all over, going to get the entire thing nice and soggy. And remove that stray hair as well, brush fibre, whatever it is. This is quite a simple outline. If you want to draw your own, just make sure you do the larger lily pads in the foreground, so closer to you, and just gently sort of shrink them down and narrow them slightly the further you get away from you, so towards the top of the paper. And now I'm starting with my first colour, which is Winsor Blue, and mixing it up with some Winsor Yellow to create this lovely vibrant pastel, almost green colour. Now I'm really enjoying using the Winsor primaries at the moment. You'll see that I'm going to use all three of them in this video for the background. You can see just how bright and vibrant that colour is already. That Winsor Yellow really leaps into the blue and gives it this wonderful, bright, vibrant turquoise feel. See, I'm trying to tone it down a little bit with a little bit of water. I don't want it too bright. I don't want a radioactive lily pond, but something, a lovely, soft, pastel-coloured turquoise is what I'm aiming for today. So you can see I'm just blending in the colour here. I'm being sure to keep the colour stronger in the foreground and using my brush to sort of blend it in to the wet paper and fade it out towards the top of the page. Here you can see I'm adding in a little now this purple shade. This is basically my Winsor Red mixed up on my palette with the Winsor Blue to create this soft, murky, almost dust coloured purple, which I'm just sweeping on very carefully. You can see I'm just using a really light touch with the wet brush, just adding it into the foreground here and using it to create the illusion of shadows beneath the water. You can see I'm focusing on putting these shadows around about the lily pads, giving it the illusion of those being the things to cast the shadows. For anybody who's interested, the brush I'm using is a Princeton Neptune synthetic mottler brush. It's 1 inch size, but you can get them larger. I find it's a perfect brush for this sort of work because it holds a lot of paint and it holds a lot of water. You can see I don't have to go back and dip in too regularly. And it's lovely and soft, and I think it blends really beautifully for watercolour. A little bit of tissue there, taking up a little bit of excess water, and then back to the brush. You can see how I'm just holding it flat and using that nice crisp edge to start putting in a few more shadows. And of course, the delightful thing about masking fluid is you don't need to worry about going over it, so I'm able to do these lovely quick sweeping motions, which helps to blend the colour in really softly and really easily. just pulling a little of that darker colour up the page slightly, just to balance the colour out, just so it's not right at the bottom there, and give a lovely or mottled effect to the water, but still trying to keep the stronger colours in the foreground and let it fade out into the distance. And now I'm just using that lovely flat edge, putting in a few lines. Here you can see my palette. This is the colour for anyone who's interested. Have a little freeze frame and take a wee look. That purple colour is what I'm using here to just put in some soft lines into this lovely mottled and marbled water, just to give the illusion of some gentle ripples along the surface of the pond. And now that I'm happy with the wash, I'm about to leave it to dry. All I'm doing now is just using a little bit of tissue to carefully mop up what paint I can that's been left on top of the masking fluid. You don't need to be too precious about this, but it makes it so much easier when you come to rub it off afterwards. You can see now that it's dry and I'm able to just cleanly take this bit of masking fluid off the paper. If you leave too much paint on there, or if there's still wet paint when you come to wipe it off, it can sometimes smear and smudge all over your lovely white paper that you've taken so much trouble to keep clean. So there's a pro tip for you folks, is try and always smudge off what paint you can from the masking fluid. And there we have it, my lovely clean white lily pads. You can see there's not too much detail there. I'm just going to now use it's a mid-sized synthetic watercolour brush. I'm just going to start with the lily pads. I've mixed up a very pale green using the Winsor Blue and the Winsor Yellow, and I'm just starting by going in and filling in this pad with the sort of lime green colour. I want these pads to be really bright and vibrant. So what I'm going to do is use a wet and wet technique, put in my base green colour, add in a good dollop of extra Winsor Yellow to really brighten things up, and then add in a little bit of extra blue, sort of a blue-green mix really around the outside, and just a little bit here and there to add a variation of colour and shade in the pad itself. Taking care, of course, try and keep my painting within the lines of the lily pad. I don't want to go over too heavily and sort of paint extra green onto our backdrop of lovely soft water there. Just show you again with this nice big pad in the corner. So this lovely pale green wash going on first. And now we have the extra yellow, which is blending in really nicely because this part of the paint is wet, obviously. And now just a little bit of sort of more turquoise green that I've mixed up with a bit of extra blue, and I'm just going to blend that through. Those colours hopefully will just diffuse and look really beautiful and natural along the top surface of the lily pad. And here you see I am just using a very tiny sweep of that purplish colour I mixed up before, just to add a little bit of extra detail to the centre of the pad there, just a little bit of shadow. And this central one here I decided wasn't nearly bright enough for me, so I'm going in now and re-wetting it and adding an extra dollop of yellow. And there we are, I've just done the rest of them. It literally is as easy as that. You can see I've just variated the shades of green on all the pads, so no two look quite the same. And I'll just show you again for this last little lily pad. It really is very satisfying to do for some reason. I don't know if it's the shape or the filling in the lovely crisp white outline and then letting the diffusion happen in this little space, but I found these very satisfying to do. And now the lily pads are done, I'm starting on the flowers. You can see I've filled in the flower stalks, which is literally as simple as a dark line and a little sort of three-pronged cup underneath where the petals will be. And now I'm using Opera Rose Pink, a lovely bright pink colour, to fill in these flower petals here. Just quite lightly. You can see I'm using a lovely fine brush to just go in and put in a little bit of pink, following the curve of these petals, trying to also leave a little bit of white peeping through. The colour I mixed up for the stalks here, and you will see also later when I do the reeds, is basically a mixture of all three, Winsor Red, Blue and a little yellow, all sort of muddied up to make a sort of a greenish brown colour, which actually looks really nice and effective here against the water. And I'll let you in on a secret, these flowers were originally intended to be yellow. But once I'd done the background, I decided that pink would pop out a lot more against this lovely, almost turquoise coloured pool that we've created here. So I had to scurry off and find my pink. But I hope that you agree with me that it was the right choice to make. As you can see, I'm just using a little bit of scrunched up tissue, just dab out a little bit of water and paint if I think I've put a little bit too much in, or if I want to create a paler colour. You can just pull a little bit out with some tissue or some kitchen towel, anything absorbent really. And it also can create a little bit of extra texture in the petals if you scrunch up the tissue quite tightly and dab it on lightly to leave that impression of the scrunched up tissue. And here we are, I've filled in all the flowers now. Very happy with how they look, very pretty. And now for the final touch is just the reeds poking out of the pond, giving a little bit of extra detail here in this painting. You can see I'm still using my fine detail brush. For anyone who's interested, this is a Masterstroke brush from the Series 60 range by Pro Arte, and the size is 4/0, so it's very, very fine. It has a lot of versatility to it. You could use a rigger brush or a sword liner or any type of brush that you fancy to put in these reeds. Anything with a fine enough point would work perfectly. You can see I've put these first ones in where I've already put a little line of that purplish shadow in the initial wash. So that was me trying to plan ahead for once and making sure I put a little bit of shadow in where I knew I wanted some reeds to give the illusion of the rest of the plant sitting just beneath the surface. As you can see, I'm just following some of my little pencil outlines from earlier that you can just see peeping through the paint here, and just filling in those reeds. I'm also adding a few extra ones where I think they look a little bit sparse. You don't always need to follow your pencil guide to the letter, so to speak. And here we are. I've put in a few extra reeds, you can see, just poking up, a few little extra tendrils. This is the finished painting. I'm really happy with it, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it too, or maybe feel inspired to have a go at something like this yourself. I think it's a really simple and beautiful and effective painting. So thank you very much for watching along with me. Please leave a like on this video or subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you have, thank you, you're wonderful. And if you're interested as well, I have a Patreon page. I'll pop the link below where you can find even more videos from me plus extra content. So thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.